we can all kind of relate to events that happened in our childhood that are specific to, like, I guess, 10, 12 years. And after that, we form the basis of the rest of our, opinions and everything. And every generation has its youth, and the youth is just that time in life when they share and experience it. After that, they're young adulthood, and they still contain the same experiences, they just gone to the experience. So I think youth is.
Anybody agrees with him? What constitutes youth? And then I'll give you my definition of youth.
I guess I somewhat I agree with him. But I think there's at least with our generation, there's this whole issue of being able to share with one another. Because a lot of times, like for example, like you'll walk into even in college, you'll walk into a room filled with people your age, but it's not like you can relate to each and every one of them or just easily be able to talk to them. Like most of the time, you have this awkward stare down, and you either decide to say hello and greet them, or you just keep walking and try to find someone that you're familiar with.
So people talk these days? I thought they just text. People just stand by each other and instead of talking, say hi, they just text hi.
that is becoming the level.
Hey, back. It's faster to just text than to say hi. I don't know. I always say the definition of youth is me. If you are older than I am, you are no longer young. So I guess everybody has their own definition. Yeah, that's the only way I've managed to remain young forever. Because I realize that's the only way I can remain young forever is by making it a cost.
Change the rules, change the definition.
No, but what's the definition of youth? You see, that's the thing. What's the definition? If you say it's not based on age, which is why you think you qualify. So, talking about youth, actually, the issue is, and I agree with you guys, the youth period is the period of best part of your life in terms of what you can still do, how you can still make the best of your life, your career, family, etc., etc. So many things in life, they function better for you in terms of your physiology, in terms of your strength, in terms of your innovation, things you can think about and realize and dream about. It's always the period of youth. But youth has no real definition that you could say this is what makes a cutoff for when you are young and the cutoff of when you are old. And one of the statements of the Prophet ﷺ is that you should maximize your opportunities when you are young. So what then happens is you start defining yourself as being too old for this, too old for that. And that's when you start moving away from being young. So, and then some things you want to do, then your body physiology will not let you do that anymore. So at least in that department also you check old in those departments too. But overall, the age is a function of it, but there's no arbitrary cutoff as far as I know. But you guys will be in best position to tell me that if there's, at least you guys are telling me I don't qualify. So what can I say?
Well,
yeah.
I guess when you asked, I kind of framed the answer based on what the target audiences of the youth group here, not necessarily
who is young, who is not young.
Yeah.
I understand. So in terms of the topic at hand, which is talking about Muslim youth and terrorism in America, what people say may be different from what the reality is, but looking at, if you detach yourself from what one often reads in the papers or you see in the news, it's important for us to understand what we should not do, pretty much. And more often what happens is people fail to realize that everything matters, everything, both in terms of what you do, how you think, what your goals and aspiration is. And so it becomes imperative that we do things that will benefit all of us. Okay? There's an ayah of the Qur'an in Surah 2 Anfal, chapter 8, verse 25, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Bada'udu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. That, and be mindful and fear that consequence. So, in summary, if one of the things that oftentimes become problem for the youth is because we have all the energy, we have the willpower, and we have strength, and we are very smart, and we are energetic, and we want to do this, want to make changes, want to, improve the lot of the community. Many a time people are not really in tune with what really benefits the community. And that's why if I'm to suggest to anybody, I'll say, well, if you really want to do something that benefits the community, is to be the one that succeed. Be the one that succeed. Okay? Be the Muslim youth that develops into having a good job, has good family, that understands and values Islam, not somebody that ends up in prison. Be somebody that succeeds in all aspects of life. Whatever is the good goal you've set for yourself, be somebody that succeeds in it. Whether it is in terms of your academia, many of us here are still in colleges. Okay, be somebody that gets out of school with GPA of 4.0. That would be good for the community. If you end up owning a big-time company or come work for you, you create jobs, you'll be of benefit to the community. Doing anything that hurts anybody or that harms anybody, it's not really part of the deen. It's not part of the deen at all. It's not. And an ayah of the Quran says that, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, do not kill yourself. So anything, because oftentimes what people say in the news and what we read and all those things, they are not Islam in terms of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. There's no justification to kill somebody who is innocent. There's none. If anything, the principle of Islam is, it's better for you to even let, somebody who is guilty but you can't prove it, it's better for you to let him go than to punish somebody that is innocent. See, in terms of the harm that you do, and you see many cases in which somebody was on death row, only to DNA technology later came, and then they realized they convicted the wrong guy. Things like that. Because many a time what happens is you have all this circumstantial evidence for many things. But you see, the principle of Islam is you don't want to hurt somebody. You don't. It's just unfortunate that we are in a different time. But the ayah that I quoted earlier from Surah Al-Anfal, chapter 8, verse 25, Allah said, be mindful, be fearful, be afraid. Fear that consequence, which when it comes, it will not separate the guilty party from those who are not guilty. So you don't want to do something it will be a consequence of your own action, that the innocent will be hurt. You don't want that in your own account for the day of judgment. You don't. And that's something I think everybody should think about. For Allah is the only one that has no fear for consequences of his actions. As he said in the Quran, وَلَا يَخَافُ عُقْبَاهَا, that for him there is no fear of consequences of his action. That's Allah. Because Allah is just. And Allah knows everything. But for the rest of us, we don't know everything. We don't. We do our best, and that's why you have to be careful. Any action that you do, don't hurt the next person. Because if justice is not served here in the world, the person will lay claims to his retribution on the day of judgment. And there is no compensation in dollars that time. Okay, so the message is all of us, we should do everything possible to ensure we don't hurt somebody. We don't. Because that is, the Prophet ﷺ said, the Muslim is the one from whose hands and by whose tongue people are safe. Okay, so you want to be somebody that brings peace to people. That's what the message of Islam is. May Allah make it easy for all of us. Allah make our task easy for us. We live in an environment that is different. I mean, if you are flying from here to anywhere, they pat you down, they scan you, they do all that. And some of these things are reaction to something that somebody else did. And each time you pass through and they tell you to take off your jacket, take off your shoes, it's not that you are happy with whatever happened. You're not. So those are consequences of some actions that some people have done in some form or the other. Unfortunately, everybody feels the brunt of it. So that would be an example of be mindful of what you do, that the consequences does not separate the guilty from those who are innocent. You don't want to be somebody that does that. And at the same time, if you are charged with authority, you do not want to be somebody that punishes the innocent. Because on the day of judgment, there will be retribution for everything that we do. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for coming and still having us. Regardless of, there's more people behind the camera.
We CG.
Alhamdulillah.